You're exhausted. I know you are. You've been pushing and striving and grinding away, trying to make things happen, trying to force doors open that seem permanently locked. You've been running on empty for so long that you can't even remember what it feels like to be truly rested. And somewhere inside you, there's this voice that keeps saying you need to do more, be more, achieve more. But what if I told you that everything you've been searching for is waiting for you on the other side of rest? What if the very thing you need most right now is to simply stop? You see, we live in a world that glorifies exhaustion. We wear our fatigue like badges of honor. We brag about how little sleep we get, how many hours we work, how busy our schedules are. We've been conditioned to believe that rest is laziness, that stopping means giving up, that if we're not constantly doing something, we're falling behind. But this is one of the greatest lies ever sold to humanity. The truth is that rest is not the opposite of productivity. Rest is the foundation of everything meaningful you will ever create. There's a power in rest that goes beyond physical recovery. When you truly rest, when you allow yourself to stop striving and simply be, you create space for something magnificent to enter your life. You create room for inspiration, for clarity, for divine guidance. All those answers you've been desperately seeking while you're running around in circles, they're waiting for you in the stillness. They can't reach you when you're moving at 100 miles an hour, drowning out your inner voice with noise and distraction and endless activity. Think about nature for a moment. The earth doesn't apologize for winter. Trees don't feel guilty when they drop their leaves and stand bare against the cold sky. They know that this period of rest, this seeming emptiness, is actually preparation for the abundance of spring. They trust the process. They understand that there are seasons for everything, and that rest is not just acceptable but absolutely necessary for new growth. You are part of nature too. You are not exempt from these cycles. There are seasons in your life, and right now you might be in a winter season, and that's okay. That's more than okay. That's exactly where you need to be, because what's coming next, what's being prepared for you while you rest, is going to shock you. It's going to be so much bigger and better than anything you could have forced into existence through sheer willpower and exhaustion. The universe works in mysterious ways. God, Source, Spirit, whatever name you give to that infinite intelligence that orchestrates everything, has a plan for you that is far greater than your limited human perspective can comprehend. But you have to get out of your own way. You have to stop trying to control every single detail. You have to release your white-knuckled grip on how you think things should unfold and trust that there's a bigger picture at work. When you rest, you're not giving up, you're surrendering. And there's a massive difference between those two things. Giving up is rooted in defeat, in hopelessness, in the belief that nothing will ever change. Surrendering is rooted in trust, in faith, in the understanding that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Surrendering means you acknowledge that there are forces at work beyond your control, and that's not a weakness, it's a relief. Right now, in this very moment, miracles are being arranged on your behalf. Doors are being prepared to open. People are being positioned to enter your life. Opportunities are being crafted specifically for you. Resources are being mobilized. But all of this happens behind the scenes, in the invisible world of energy and consciousness. And you cannot see it or feel it or touch it yet. You just have to trust that it's happening. This is where most people fail. They can't rest because they can't trust. They're so used to making things happen through force that they don't know how to receive what's being given. They're like someone standing under a waterfall with an umbrella, wondering why they're still thirsty. You have to put down the umbrella. You have to open your hands. You have to create space to receive. Your exhaustion is not a badge of honor. It's a signal. It's your body, your mind, your spirit telling you that you've been operating from the wrong source of power. You've been trying to do everything in your own strength, relying on your own limited resources, and it's depleting you. But there's another way. There's an infinite source of energy, creativity, and power available to you at all times. You just have to plug into it. And you can't plug in when you're constantly moving. Rest is not passive. Rest is one of the most active, powerful choices you can make. When you choose to rest, you're choosing to trust. You're choosing to believe that you are supported, that you are loved, that you are being taken care of. You're choosing to step out of fear and into faith. And that takes courage, real courage. The kind of courage that our society doesn't talk about enough. You know what happens when you truly rest? You remember who you are. All those layers of conditioning, all those false beliefs about what you need to do to be worthy, all that programming about productivity and success, it starts to fall away. And underneath all of that noise, there's a still, small voice. It's the voice of your true self. It's been trying to guide you all along, but you couldn't hear it over the chaos. This voice knows things that your conscious mind doesn't. It knows your purpose. It knows your path. It knows exactly what you need and when you need it. But it speaks in whispers, not shouts. It communicates through intuition, through feelings, through subtle nudges and quiet certainties. You have to be still to hear it. You have to rest to receive its guidance. And here's what's amazing. When you follow this inner guidance, when you move from a place of rest rather than exhaustion, everything changes. You stop forcing and start flowing. You stop struggling and start allowing. You realize that life doesn't have to be so hard. You've been making it hard by swimming against the current instead of floating with it. The current of life, the flow of the universe, is always moving toward your highest good. Always. But you have to align with it. You have to get on the same frequency. And you can't do that when you're vibrating at the frequency of stress, anxiety, and burnout. Rest brings you back to your natural frequency. It recalibrates you. It tunes you back into the station where all the good stuff is broadcasting. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but I can't rest. I have bills to pay. I have responsibilities. I have people depending on me. I understand. I really do. But here's what you need to know. Rest doesn't mean you abandon your responsibilities. It doesn't mean you quit your job or ignore your obligations. It means you change your relationship with those things. It means you stop operating from panic and start operating from peace. You can work from a place of rest. You can fulfill your responsibilities from a place of rest. Rest is not about what you're doing externally. It's about what's happening internally. It's about your inner state, your mental and emotional posture. You can be physically active while being internally at rest. It's about not being attached to outcomes, not being consumed by worry, not carrying anxiety about tomorrow while you're living today. When you operate from this place of internal rest, you actually become more effective, not less. You make better decisions. You have more clarity. You're more creative. You're more present. You show up as your best self instead of your most depleted self. The quality of everything you do improves because you're no longer running on fumes. And here's the thing that will really shock you. When you rest, when you truly let go and trust, things start happening that you couldn't have made happen no matter how hard you tried. Synchronicities multiply. The right people show up at exactly the right time. Solutions appear out of nowhere. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. Money comes from unexpected sources. Opportunities fall into your lap. It's like the universe was just waiting for you to get out of the way so it could deliver all the blessings it's been trying to give you. This is not magic. This is not wishful thinking. This is how life actually works when you align with it instead of fighting against it. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, and there's a part of you that is always connected to the infinite. When you rest, you strengthen that connection. When you're in constant motion, running on ego and fear, you weaken it. Your ego wants you to believe that you're in control, that everything depends on you, that if you stop pushing, everything will fall apart. But that's the ego's lie. The truth is that you're not in control and you never were. And that's actually the most liberating thing you could ever realize. Because if you're not in control, then you don't have to carry the burden of making everything happen. You just have to show up, do your part, and trust that the rest is being handled by something far greater than your small self. Think about all the things in your life that have worked out despite your worry, despite your fear, despite your attempts to control everything. Think about the times when you were sure it was all going to fall apart, and somehow it didn't. Think about the unexpected blessings that showed up when you weren't even looking for them. That wasn't luck. That was grace. That was the universe taking care of you. And it's always been taking care of you. It always will. But you have to cooperate with it. You have to work with it, not against it. And right now, what it's asking you to do is rest. It's asking you to trust. It's asking you to believe that something better than you can conceive is on its way to you. And your job is not to figure out how or when or where. Your job is simply to prepare yourself to receive it. How do you prepare? By resting, by healing, by releasing all the old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve you, by letting go of resentment, anger, fear, and doubt, by forgiving yourself and others, by clearing out the mental and emotional clutter that's been blocking your blessings, by making room in your life for the new to enter. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins. You can't receive a new level of abundance if you're still clinging to old lack mentality. You can't step into a new version of yourself if you're still identified with the old one. Rest is the space where transformation happens. It's the cocoon stage. And yes, it might feel like nothing is happening. It might feel like you're stuck, but that's just because you can't see what's taking place beneath the surface. The caterpillar doesn't know it's becoming a butterfly. From its perspective, it's just dissolved into goo. But that goo is reorganizing itself into something completely new, something that can fly. You are in the goo right now, and I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's scary. I know you want to speed up the process, but you can't rush transformation. You can only surrender to it. Every great spiritual tradition talks about the power of stillness, of silence, of rest. It's not because ancient wisdom keepers were lazy. It's because they understood something that our modern world has forgotten. They understood that there's a creative power in rest that exceeds anything we can accomplish through striving. They understood that we're not meant to be human doings, we're meant to be human beings. Being comes before doing. Who you are is more important than what you do. And you can only know who you are when you stop doing long enough to listen to that still, small voice inside. That voice is your connection to the divine. It's your hotline to infinite intelligence. And it has all the answers you've been seeking. But you have to create the conditions for it to speak. You have to turn down the volume on the outside world. You have to unplug from the constant stream of information and stimulation and distraction. You have to give yourself permission to be still, to be quiet, to do nothing for periods of time. And I know that feels almost impossible in our world today, but it's essential. Your rest is revolutionary. In a world that profits from your exhaustion, that wants you tired and distracted and too depleted to question anything, choosing to rest is an act of rebellion. It's a declaration that you will not sacrifice your well-being on the altar of productivity. It's a statement that you know your worth is not determined by your output. It's a recognition that you are a sacred being, deserving of care and gentleness and time to simply exist. When you rest, you're not being selfish. You're being wise. You're acknowledging that you can't pour from an empty cup. You're understanding that the best gift you can give to others is a version of yourself that is rested, restored, and connected to your source. Nobody benefits from your burnout. Not your family, not your friends, not your work, and certainly not you. So give yourself permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to say no. Permission to disappoint people if it means protecting your peace. Permission to prioritize your well-being over other people's expectations. Permission to rest without guilt, without justification, without feeling like you have to earn it. You don't have to earn rest. Rest is your birthright. It's as essential as breathing. And while you rest, trust that everything you need is coming to you. Trust that the universe is working overtime on your behalf. Trust that there's a perfect timing to everything, and that this period of rest is not wasted time but sacred time. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, preparing for exactly what's next. What's next is going to shock you. It's going to be so much better than what you were trying to force into existence. It's going to be aligned with your true purpose, your highest good, your soul's path. It's going to feel like it's too good to be true, but it will be true. It will be real. It will be yours. But you have to rest now to receive it later. The universe doesn't operate on your timeline. It operates on divine timing. And divine timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't feel like it. Even when you're frustrated, even when you're impatient, even when you can't see any evidence that things are moving. They are moving. Behind the scenes, in ways you can't see, everything is being orchestrated. Your job is to trust the process. Your job is to have faith. Your job is to rest in the knowing that you are loved, you are supported, you are guided, and you are never alone. There's a benevolent force at work in your life that wants you to succeed, that wants you to thrive, that wants you to experience joy and peace and abundance. But it can only deliver these things when you stop blocking them with fear and control and exhaustion. So rest. Really rest. Not just your body, but your mind and your spirit. Let go of the need to figure everything out. Release the anxiety about the future. Stop replaying the past. Come into this present moment and just be. Be here. Be now. Be at peace. When you rest, you're not falling behind. You're actually getting ahead because you're aligning yourself with the flow of life instead of fighting against it. You're conserving your energy for what really matters instead of wasting it on worry and struggle. You're becoming a vessel that can hold greater blessings instead of a broken container that leaks everything it receives. What's coming next will shock you because it will be better than you dared to hope for. It will restore your faith. It will remind you that there's a loving intelligence guiding your life. It will show you that you were right to trust, right to rest, right to believe that something beautiful was being prepared for you. But you have to make it through this winter season. You have to endure this period of not knowing, of waiting, of resting. You have to resist the temptation to go back to old patterns of striving and forcing. You have to stay in the rest, stay in the trust, stay in the faith. And I promise you, when spring comes, and it will come, you'll look back on this time and understand why it was necessary. You'll see that you weren't being punished or forgotten or left behind. You were being prepared. You were being pruned so you could grow stronger. You were being emptied so you could be filled with something better. You were being taught to trust at a level you never trusted before. The greatest things in your life have always come when you got out of your own way, when you stopped trying to control everything and allowed life to surprise you, when you surrendered your plans and opened yourself to something greater. This is one of those times. This is a sacred pause. Honor it, respect it, use it wisely. Rest doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It means releasing the anxiety around them. It means trusting that if a dream is truly yours, it will manifest in the right way at the right time. It means understanding that you don't have to chase your good is chasing you. And when you rest, when you become still, it can finally catch up to you. So many blessings have been trying to reach you, but you've been moving too fast for them to land. So many miracles have been knocking on your door, but you've been too busy to answer. So many opportunities have been presenting themselves, but you've been too exhausted to see them. Rest changes all of that. Rest makes you available. Rest makes you receptive. Rest makes you ready. What God is bringing next will shock you because it will be customized for you. It won't look like anyone else's blessing. It won't follow anyone else's timeline. It will be perfectly suited to who you are, where you are, and what you need. And it will arrive at exactly the right moment, not a second too early or too late. But until that moment comes, your responsibility is to take care of yourself, to rest your weary body, to quiet your anxious mind, to soothe your tired spirit, to be gentle with yourself, to practice self-compassion, to remember that you're doing the best you can with what you have, and that's enough. You are enough. You've always been enough. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. You don't have to earn love or worthiness or blessings. These things are already yours by virtue of your existence. You are a child of the universe, and the universe takes care of its own, always has, always will. Rest in that truth. Rest in the knowledge that you are held, you are loved, you are protected. Rest in the certainty that something wonderful is unfolding for you right now, even if you can't see it yet. Rest in the peace that passes all understanding, the peace that comes from knowing you don't have to have all the answers, you don't have to control all the outcomes, you don't have to carry all the weight. Let it go. Let it all go. Everything you've been holding on to so tightly, all the worry, all the fear, all the need to make things happen, just release it. Give it to God, to the universe, to whatever higher power you believe in. Say, I can't do this alone, and I don't have to. I trust that I'm being guided. I trust that I'm being taken care of. I trust that what's meant for me will not pass me by. And then rest. Really, truly rest. Not with guilt, not with anxiety, not with the nagging feeling that you should be doing something more. Rest with peace. Rest with trust. Rest with faith. Rest with the deep inner knowing that everything is working out for your highest good, even when it doesn't look like it. This is your time. This is your season of rest. Don't waste it wishing you were somewhere else or doing something different. Be fully present in it. Accept it. Allow it. Know that it's preparing you for something magnificent. Know that it's healing you, restoring you, realigning you with your true self and your true path. What comes next will be worth the wait. It will be worth the rest. It will be worth the trust. And when it arrives, you'll understand why everything had to happen exactly the way it did. You'll see the perfection in the timing. You'll recognize the divine hand in every detail. And you'll be grateful that you chose to rest, that you chose to trust, that you chose to believe even when you couldn't see. So rest now. Rest deeply. Rest completely. Rest without reservation. Your breakthrough is coming. Your blessing is on its way. Your miracle is being prepared. And it's going to shock you in the best possible way. Just rest, trust, and wait with expectant joy. What's next is going to be beautiful. You know, right now, in this very moment, you are connected to something infinitely larger than yourself. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not after you've finished all your tasks. Not when you finally get some peace and quiet. Right now. The divine presence that created the stars, that breathes life into every living thing, that orchestrates the perfect rhythm of your heartbeat without you even thinking about it. That same presence is available to you this instant. And the beautiful truth is that it has never left you. You've just been too busy looking elsewhere. Most of us spend our days racing from one obligation to the next, our minds cluttered with to-do lists, worries about the future, regrets about the past. We wake up already exhausted, thinking about everything we need to accomplish. We grab our phones before we even open our eyes fully. We rush through breakfast, rush through traffic, rush through conversations with people we love, and somewhere in all that rushing, we convince ourselves that we don't have time for God. We don't have time for prayer, for meditation, for silence, for connection with the source of all creation. We tell ourselves we'll get to it later, when things calm down, when we're not so busy. But here's what I want you to understand. God is not waiting for you to have more time. God is not somewhere separate from you, checking a watch, wondering when you'll finally show up. The divine is here, now, in the middle of your messy, chaotic, beautiful, overwhelming life. The question is not whether God is available to you. The question is whether you are available to God. Think about it this way. Your heart beats about 100,000 times a day. You don't make that happen. You don't sit there consciously commanding your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, your cells to regenerate. There's an intelligence, a force, a presence that is doing all of that for you right now as you listen to these words. That's God. That's the divine expressing itself as you, through you, in you. You are not separate from this force. You are an expression of it. And when you begin to recognize this, when you begin to feel this truth in your bones, everything changes. The busiest day of your life is still a day held within the presence of God. The most stressful moment is still a moment infused with the divine. The problem is not that God is absent during these times. The problem is that you've trained yourself to be absent. You've trained your mind to focus on everything except the sacred. You've become so identified with your role, your responsibilities, your problems, that you've forgotten who you really are. So how do we shift this? How do we encounter God daily? Even when our schedules are packed, when our minds are racing, when we feel like we can barely keep our heads above water, it starts with a decision. A simple, powerful decision to remember. To remember that you are not just a body moving through space, collecting experiences and checking off tasks. You are a spiritual being, having a human experience. You are a piece of the divine, temporarily housed in physical form. And when you remember this, when you really let this truth sink in, you start to see opportunities for connection everywhere. Let me share something with you. God is in your morning coffee. I'm serious. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before you start planning your day, take 3 slow breaths. Just 3. Feel the air entering your body. Feel it leaving your body. That breath is not just oxygen. It's life force. It's the same energy that created galaxies. It's God breathing through you. Then, when you make your coffee or your tea, do it consciously. Feel the warm cup in your hands. Smell the aroma. Take the first sip and really taste it. This is not a waste of time. This is a holy moment. You are experiencing life through your senses, and your senses are gifts from the divine. You see, we've been taught to think of spiritual practice as something separate from daily life. We think we need to be in a church, a temple, a meditation hall. We think we need special conditions, special times, special clothes. And while those things can be wonderful, they're not necessary. Every single moment is an opportunity to touch the sacred. Every single activity can become a prayer when you bring awareness to it. When you're stuck in traffic, that can be a spiritual practice. Instead of gripping the steering wheel, cursing the other drivers, allowing frustration to build up in your body, you can choose differently. You can use that time to breathe consciously. You can look around and notice the sky, the trees, the faces of other people in their cars, all of them, just like you, trying to get somewhere, trying to make it through their day. You can send them silent blessings. You can feel gratitude for the car that's protecting you, for the fuel that's moving you forward, for the legs and arms and eyes that allow you to drive. This is not about being Pollyanna and pretending everything is perfect. This is about training your mind to notice the divine in the midst of ordinary life. When you're washing dishes, you can do it as a chore, as something to get through so you can move on to the next thing. Or you can feel the warm water on your hands, watch the soap bubbles form and dissolve, notice the colors and shapes of the plates and cups you're cleaning. You can turn it into a meditation. You can turn it into a conversation with God. You can say, thank you for this food that nourished my body. Thank you for these hands that can clean these dishes. Thank you for this water, this miracle of water that flows so easily from my tap. Every moment of presence is a moment of prayer. Here's what I've learned over years of teaching and practicing this. God is not impressed by your fancy words or your perfect posture or how long you can sit in meditation. God is not keeping score. The divine simply wants your attention, your awareness, your willingness to be present. That's it. That's the whole secret. Presence is prayer. Awareness is worship. When you are fully here, fully now, you are in communion with the source of all life. Let me tell you about the greatest lie we've all been sold. The lie is that you need to earn God's love, that you need to be good enough, pure enough, spiritual enough, that you need to meditate for an hour every day, read scripture, go to services, follow all the rules. And if you don't do these things, God is disappointed in you, distant from you, judging you. This is nonsense. This is human beings projecting their own limitations onto the divine. God's love for you is not conditional. It cannot be earned because it was never withheld. You are made of God's love. You are God's love in physical form. Nothing you do or don't do can change that fundamental truth. Now, does this mean you shouldn't meditate or pray or read spiritual texts? Of course not. These practices are beautiful. They're helpful. They're tools that can help you remember who you really are. But they're not the point. They're the finger pointing at the moon, not the moon itself. The point is the remembering. The point is the recognition that you are always already connected to the divine. You don't need to create the connection. You just need to notice it. So on your busiest days, when you feel like you don't have a single extra minute, that's when this understanding becomes most powerful. You don't need extra time. You need extra awareness. You can encounter God while you're answering emails. How? By bringing your full attention to what you're doing, by typing with awareness, by choosing your words carefully, with kindness, with consideration for the person who will read them. When you work with presence, work becomes worship. You can encounter God while you're talking to your children, your partner, your coworker. How? By really listening. Not planning what you're going to say next, not waiting for them to finish so you can jump in with your opinion, but truly listening with your whole being, looking into their eyes and seeing the divine looking back at you, recognizing that the person in front of you is not just a person, they're God in disguise. They're the universe experiencing itself through another form. When you listen this way, conversation becomes sacred. You can encounter God while you're exercising, while you're walking to your car, while you're waiting in line at the grocery store. Every single moment is loaded with the presence of the divine. You've just been trained not to notice. You've been conditioned to live in your head, in your thoughts, in your worries and plans and memories. But God is not in your thoughts. God is in the space between your thoughts. God is in the silence underneath all the mental noise. Here's a practice I want you to try. Throughout your day tomorrow, set an intention to pause just for a few seconds. Maybe you do it every hour, or every time you walk through a doorway, or every time you hear a bird sing, or every time your phone rings. Doesn't matter. Pick a trigger, something that happens regularly in your day. And when that trigger happens, pause. Stop what you're doing for just 5 seconds. Feel your feet on the ground. Take one conscious breath and say to yourself silently, I am here. God is here. We are one. That's it. 5 seconds. You have time for 5 seconds. Everyone has time for 5 seconds. And what you'll start to notice, if you do this consistently, is that these small pauses begin to change the texture of your day. They become like little islands of peace in the middle of the chaos. They become moments where you remember who you really are. And the more you practice this, the more these moments start to expand. You start to notice that you can be present while you're doing other things. You don't have to stop everything to be aware. You can be washing dishes and be present. You can be in a meeting and be present. You can be stuck in traffic and be present. Presence is portable. You can take it with you everywhere. In fact, you already are everywhere you go. The question is whether you're aware of it. Most of us are so lost in thought that we go through entire days, entire weeks, entire years without really being present for our lives. We're living on autopilot, reacting to whatever comes our way, letting our thoughts and emotions toss us around like waves in the ocean. And then we wonder why we feel disconnected from God, disconnected from meaning, disconnected from peace. But you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your job title or your bank account or your relationship status. You are the awareness that witnesses all of these things. You are the presence that is always here, always now, always awake, And that presence, that awareness, that is your direct connection to the divine. That is God experiencing life through you. Let me tell you something that might challenge what you've been taught. You don't need a middleman to connect with God. You don't need a priest or a minister or a guru or a teacher to give you permission to have a direct relationship with the source of all creation. Those people can be helpful. They can be guides. They can share wisdom and support, but they cannot give you something you already have. You already have a direct line to the divine. It's built into your very being. It's called your awareness, your consciousness, your presence. When you sit in silence for even just a minute, and you simply notice that you're aware, that you exist, that there's a part of you that's watching your thoughts, watching your body, watching your life unfold, that watching presence is your connection to God. It's not separate from you. It is you, the deepest, truest you. The you that existed before you were born and will exist after this body dies. The eternal you, the divine you. So when we talk about encountering God daily, we're really talking about encountering yourself. Your true self. Not the ego self, not the personality self, not the self that's worried about what other people think or whether you're successful enough or whether you're doing everything right, but the self that simply is. The self that breathes without effort, that beats your heart without your permission, that grows your hair and heals your cuts and digests your food. The self that is connected to everything and everyone in all of creation. This is why the busiest day is actually a perfect day to practice this. Because when you're busy, when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, you have a choice. You can either be a victim of your circumstances, reacting to everything, feeling like life is happening to you, or you can be a conscious creator, responding from a place of presence, recognizing that you are not separate from the life that's unfolding. You are life itself, expressing itself through this particular human form. Let me give you another practical example. Let's say you're at work and you're facing a deadline and you're feeling the pressure mounting. Your shoulders are tight, your jaw is clenched, your mind is racing. This is the perfect moment to encounter God. Not later, not when you get home, not on the weekend. Right then, in the middle of the stress. You take a moment, just a moment, to close your eyes if you can. You feel your feet on the floor. You take 3 slow breaths, and you ask yourself, what would love do right now? Not what do I have to do, but what would love do? And when you ask that question, you're inviting the divine into your situation. You're opening yourself to guidance, to wisdom, to a perspective that's bigger than your ego's fears and worries. You might get an answer, you might just feel a sense of calm. But either way, you've shifted from being controlled by the situation to being present with the situation. And presence is power. Presence is peace. Presence is where God lives. You see, God is not somewhere else waiting for you to finish your to-do list. God is in the to-do list. God is in the challenge you're facing. God is in the difficult conversation you need to have. God is in the dishes that need washing and the emails that need answering and the bills that need paying. Because God is in everything. God is everything, including you, especially you. This understanding changes everything. When you realize that washing the dishes is not separate from spiritual practice, that going to work is not separate from serving the divine, that raising your children is not separate from being in communion with God, when you realize this, the whole idea of not having enough time disappears. Because you're not trying to fit spiritual practice into your life anymore. Your whole life is spiritual practice. Every moment is an opportunity to choose presence over distraction, love over fear, awareness over autopilot. And here's the beautiful part. The more you practice this, the more your life begins to flow. Things that used to stress you out don't have the same charge. Problems that used to seem insurmountable become manageable. Not because your circumstances have changed, but because you've changed. You've shifted from living in your head to living in your heart. You've shifted from being identified with your ego to being identified with your soul. You've shifted from feeling separate from God to knowing yourself as an expression of God. This is not about becoming perfect. This is not about never getting angry or stressed or frustrated. You're still human. You still have emotions. You still have challenges. But you're no longer controlled by them. You're no longer defined by them. You can feel frustrated and still be present. You can feel worried and still remember who you are. You can be in the middle of chaos and still touch the peace that's always available underneath the surface. Let me share something with you about prayer. Real prayer is not about asking God for things. It's not about begging or pleading or trying to convince the divine to give you what you want. Real prayer is about alignment. It's about bringing your awareness into harmony with the truth of who you are. It's about remembering your connection to the source. And you can do this anytime, anywhere, in any situation. You can pray while you're walking to your car. You can pray while you're brushing your teeth. You can pray while you're standing in line at the bank. Prayer doesn't require special words or a special location. Prayer is simply conscious contact with the divine. It's turning your attention toward love, toward peace, toward the awareness that you are not alone, that you are supported, that you are held by a force far greater than your individual self. One of my favorite prayers is simply, thank you. Just those two words, thank you. When you wake up in the morning, before you even get out of bed, you can say thank you. Thank you for another day. Thank you for this body that allows me to experience life. Thank you for the people I love. Thank you for the challenges that help me grow. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this moment. Gratitude is the fastest way to shift your energy, to raise your vibration, to align yourself with the divine. And when you're having a difficult day, when everything seems to be going wrong, that's when gratitude becomes even more powerful. Because in that moment, you're choosing to see beyond the surface, to recognize that there's something good even in the middle of the struggle. You're trusting that there's a higher intelligence at work, that everything is unfolding exactly as it needs to, even when you can't see the bigger picture. This is faith. Not blind faith, but conscious faith. Faith that comes from knowing yourself as part of something infinitely wise, infinitely loving, infinitely powerful. Here's another thing I want you to understand. You don't have to be calm to encounter God. You don't have to be in a perfect state of peace. God is in your anxiety. God is in your confusion. God is in your anger and your sadness and your fear. These emotions are not obstacles to the divine. They're part of the human experience. And the human experience is sacred. All of it. The good days and the bad days, the moments of clarity and the moments of doubt. It's all holy because it's all part of life, and life is God's creation. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, instead of pushing the feeling away or trying to fix it or pretending it's not there, you can simply be with it. You can say, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, and that's okay. This is what I'm experiencing in this moment. And in that acceptance, in that willingness to be present with what is, you're encountering God. You're meeting the divine in your humanity. You're allowing yourself to be exactly where you are, exactly as you are, without judgment, without resistance. This is compassion. And compassion, real compassion, starts with yourself. You cannot give what you don't have. If you're constantly criticizing yourself, pushing yourself, demanding perfection from yourself, you won't be able to offer true compassion to others. But when you learn to be gentle with yourself, when you learn to meet your own struggles with kindness, that same kindness naturally flows outward. You become a channel for divine love, not because you're trying to be spiritual or good, but because that's what naturally happens when you stop blocking the flow. And this brings me to something crucial. Encountering God daily is not about adding more to your plate. It's not about one more thing you have to do, one more way you're failing if you don't do it perfectly. It's about subtraction, not addition. It's about removing the blocks to the awareness of God's presence. It's about letting go of the beliefs and habits and patterns that keep you trapped in your head, disconnected from your heart, separate from the divine. What are these blocks? Usually, they're thoughts. Thoughts about who you should be, what you should be doing, how you should be feeling. Thoughts about the past, about things you regret or resent. Thoughts about the future, about things you're worried about or hoping for. All of these thoughts create a veil between you and the present moment. And God is only available in the present moment, not in your thoughts about the past or your worries about the future. Right here, right now. So the practice is simple, though not always easy. Notice your thoughts. Don't judge them, don't try to stop them, don't make them wrong, just notice them. See them for what they are, mental events, clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. You are not the clouds, you are the sky. Vast, spacious, open, always present, always here. And when you rest in that awareness, when you identify with the sky instead of the clouds, you're resting in God, your home. Let me tell you about miracles. We think miracles are big, dramatic events, burning bushes, parting seas, people rising from the dead, and maybe those things happen, I don't know. But the real miracle, the everyday miracle, is that you exist at all. That out of the infinite void, consciousness arose. That you are here, aware, able to experience beauty and love and wonder. That your heart knows how to beat. That your body knows how to heal. That every cell in your body is working right now to keep you alive without you having to think about it. These are miracles. Constant, ongoing miracles that we take for granted because they happen every day. When you start to see life this way, when you start to recognize the miraculous in the ordinary, everything becomes an encounter with God. The sunrise is not just a sunrise, it's God painting the sky for you. The smile from a stranger is not just a smile, it's God reminding you that you're not alone. The sudden solution to a problem you've been struggling with is not just a good idea, it's God whispering in your ear, guiding you, supporting you. You don't have to believe this. You can test it. You can experiment with it. For 1 week, just 1 week, live as if everything is a message from the divine. Live as if God is constantly communicating with you through the events of your life, through the people you meet, through the thoughts that arise, through the feelings you feel. And notice what happens. Notice how your perception shifts. Notice how you start to see patterns and meanings and connections that you never noticed before. This is not magical thinking. This is opening your eyes to what's already there. Because the truth is, God is always speaking. The universe is always communicating, but we're usually too busy, too distracted, too identified with our thoughts to hear it. We're like someone standing in front of a radio that's always playing beautiful music, but we've got headphones on, listening to the same worried thoughts on repeat. All we have to do is take off the headphones. All we have to do is turn our attention from our internal dialogue to the living reality that's all around us and within us. This is what it means to encounter God on your busiest days. It means taking off the headphones, even if just for a moment. It means turning your attention from your thoughts to your senses. What do you see right now? What do you hear? What do you feel in your body? When you're fully present with your sensory experience, you're not in your thoughts. And when you're not in your thoughts, you're available to God. You're open to guidance, to inspiration, to the gentle whisper of love that's always speaking but can only be heard in silence. Let me address something that might be coming up for you. You might be thinking, this sounds nice, but I have real problems. I have bills to pay, relationships that are struggling, health issues, work stress. How is being present supposed to help with all of that? And this is a fair question. I'm not suggesting that presence is a magic wand that makes all your problems disappear. What I'm saying is that presence changes your relationship to your problems, and that changes everything. When you're lost in thought about a problem, when you're worrying about it, obsessing over it, trying to control it, you're making it worse. You're adding suffering to pain. The situation is what it is. But your thoughts about the situation, your resistance to it, your fear around it, that's optional. That's what presence addresses. When you're truly present, you can see the situation clearly. You can respond from wisdom instead of reacting from fear. You can access intuition, creativity, solutions that weren't available when you were caught up in the drama of your thoughts. And more than that, when you're present, you're connected to the source of all power. You're plugged into the intelligence that runs the universe, and that intelligence is far smarter than your individual mind. It can see angles and possibilities that your ego can't even conceive of, but you have to get out of the way. You have to stop trying to control everything with your limited understanding and allow something greater to work through you. This is surrender. Not giving up, not being passive, not checking out, but surrendering your need to control, your need to know how everything will work out, your need to make things happen through force and effort. Surrender is saying, I will do what I can do, I will take the actions that are mine to take, but I trust that there's a larger plan at work. I trust that I'm being guided. I trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even when I can't see it. And when you live this way, when you combine presence with trust, with faith, with surrender, your busiest days become your most powerful days. Because you're not just running around trying to get everything done. You're moving through your day with intention, with awareness, with a sense of being supported by the universe. You're working with God, not against the flow of life. And there's a grace that comes with that. Things happen more easily. Doors open, people show up to help, solutions appear. Not because you're controlling or manipulating, but because you're aligned. You see, most of us live our lives as if we're swimming upstream, fighting against the current, exhausting ourselves, trying to make things happen. But when you encounter God, when you align yourself with the divine flow, you turn around. You start swimming with the current. You're still swimming. You're still making effort. You're still taking action. But it's effortless effort. It's action that comes from inspiration rather than desperation. It's movement that feels right, that feels aligned, that feels like you're being carried as much as you're carrying yourself. This is what I want for you. Not some far-off spiritual achievement, not enlightenment in some distant future, but a shift right now in how you relate to your life. A shift from seeing your busy days as obstacles to spiritual practice to seeing them as the practice itself. A shift from feeling separated from God to recognizing that separation is impossible. You are in God. God is in you. You are expressions of the same infinite consciousness. There is nowhere you can go where God is not. There is nothing you can do that removes you from the divine presence. You are always home. You just forget sometimes. And forgetting is okay. It's part of the human experience. The whole game is remembering, forgetting, remembering again. Like waves on the ocean, rising and falling, but never separate from the ocean itself. You are the wave and the ocean. You are the individual and the universal. You are human and divine, both at once, all the time. So on your busiest days, in your most stressful moments, when you feel like you're barely keeping it together, remember this: you are not alone. You have never been alone. The same force that created you is sustaining you, supporting you, guiding you. All you have to do is remember. All you have to do is pause, breathe, and turn your attention to the presence that's always here. The presence that's reading these words right now. The presence that's aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your experience. That presence is God. That presence is you. There is no difference. And when you know this, really know this, not just intellectually, but in your bones, in your heart, in your soul, everything changes. Not the external circumstances necessarily, but your experience of them. You move through life with less resistance, less struggle, less fear. You move through life with more peace, more love, more trust. And that's what encountering God daily really means. It's not about having profound spiritual experiences, though those might come. It's not about seeing visions or hearing voices, though some people do. It's about the simple, profound recognition that you are never separate from the source of all life. It's about bringing that recognition into the smallest moments of your day. The moment you tie your shoes, the moment you answer the phone, the moment you look into the eyes of someone you love. Every moment is an opportunity to remember who you really are. You are not just a person trying to get through another busy day. You are the universe experiencing itself in human form. You are God's way of knowing itself, loving itself, expressing itself. And when you live from this understanding, even washing the dishes becomes holy. Even sitting in traffic becomes meditation. Even the most mundane task becomes infused with meaning, with purpose, with the sacred. This is available to you. Not someday, not when you have more time, not when you're more evolved or more spiritual. Right now, in the middle of your beautiful, messy, ordinary, extraordinary life. God is here. God is now. God is you. Welcome home.